This is DJ coming at you from High Impact Motorsports, where we are disabling a 5-speed getrag output shaft. In my earlier videos, I showed you how to tear down the input shaft, and I never was able to show you how it went back together, but regardless of that, if you're tearing this down, you should already know basically how to put it back together. It's just I had some broken parts, so I couldn't do that. Now I'm going to show you how to do this, and what I'm using is a bearing cup on the shift selector right here, and what we're going to do is put this on support blocks and press it out, and I'm just going to do the whole same way of what I've been doing with the 4-speed builds. So I'm going to disable this, show you how it all goes back together. So right now I'm using a 21 mil socket. Fits the shaft beautifully. Got this in the shift selector, and we're gonna go ahead and just start pressing. This has never been apart in the 30 years, and so it might take a lot of force. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, cool, but we'll see. So it's actually not taking that much force. It already started going down. I'm gonna use my left hand to catch the gear set as I press it out. We should end up with basically the, hopefully, let me think here. Not 100% sure what we should end up with, but I'm gonna take this gear off first and then see if there's any C-clips and go from there. Okay, so right off the bat, as you can see, we now ended up with a synchro here. One thing on the getrags, they are actually carbon synchroed. And I have an autograph of something on this synchro. That's crazy. Maybe if anyone knows what that means, identify-wise, if it's something that's actually from factory. I haven't torn apart enough of these to know. But yeah, these are hardened carbon synchros. I'm gonna put that off to the side. The shift selector, as you can see up in there, stayed with the gear. So I just gotta get this bearing plate back off, pull this guy off. Let's see what else we got. Oh, this one just comes right up. Okay, hold on. So make sure we don't lose order of things. Let's go ahead and put that synchro back in. Pop this guy off. That is one huge difference that is basically different than the 4-speeds is that, let's not lose that shit. One of the big differences is that there's actually needle bearings. The input shaft has one. As you can see, the needle bearing is inside this guy. But yeah, and another thing to note, we have a detent right there, so we got to make sure we don't lose him. But so that's the start of tearing down the output shaft of the 5-speed getrag. Okay, so took it off the bearing cup. Alright, so flipped upside down, as you can see, we have the detents with the springs, don't lose that. So that goes like that. If I was to flip this upside down, same thing. Got the needle bearing. You can take that out, but basically it's all just gonna sit like this. Of course, the tabs on the synchro will intertwine with those. And then the washer that fell on the floor, of course, there's a cutout. That cutout is going to go around that detent ball. Pull the detent ball off with a magnet, don't lose it. And now, as you can see, we have a C-clip right there. I'm gonna get that C-clip off and tear it down the rest of the way. So I am back again. I failed at trying to press this guy out. It was starting to be stubborn, and once it was stubborn, I was like, all right, something ain't right. Well, if you come down farther, there's a roll pin here. The factory service manual does not talk about this roll pin, And most roll pins you run into have an exit. Well, there's no exit. I have a good suspicion that I'm gonna have to pull this roll pin out, extract it out, and then third and fourth should be able to get pressed off this gear. Another thing that I didn't talk about in my previous input shaft video, that this race right here, if imagine pressing this guy off is gonna press this race on the input shaft and this shaft, make sure that when you put this race back on, you go to press it, this oil hole has to match up on the same oil hole as the shaft. So when this race comes off, make sure that you find the hole when you go to press it back in. Should be able to stick something in there so you know you're going through the race, plus you're going through. No good lighting, but you get the idea. So let me extract that and get back to tearing this down. So to get my little roll pin out, I was able to just use a screw extractor, and it's designed for left-hand thread. So basically I went in there, just kept turning left. Once it got stuck, just kept working it out. Finally it just popped right out. So take this over to the press and see if she'll press out. So as you can see, it's now finally pressing out. We are using a 20-ton press. Just give you a heads up, it did take a lot of force. I had this thing ready to basically just felt like it wouldn't budge, and I sprayed WD-40 all around it, let it sit with tension on it, and come back, and all of a sudden I hear a noise where it popped. And now it's finally, as you can see, that kind of pop. But it's finally pressing out, and let me get back after I get this off. Okay, so after getting third and fourth gear off the output shaft, this guy just comes right up. I just put him down there for orientation purposes, and again, another set of needle bearings. And another synchro. Carbon at that. Carbon synchro. And we got a part number right there. Okay, so in the previous, what you just saw was the synchro came off and the needle bearing that rides this race. So the output shaft's pretty cool because these races stay in place. They do not come off like the input shaft. I got this guy set up like this to support this gear, to use this gear to basically pop it off. The reason why I have it so spread out is because by the looks of it under here, let me get a light. You can see that washer that goes around, and I just wanted to make sure the washer was going to clear. But yeah, so now let's just press this guy out. As you can see, pressing him out, this race actually did come off. We just got to make sure that these oil holes line up with the holes on the output shaft. This needle bearing did fall apart a little bit. So let me just move him over there. And then this, it's like a little needle plate and a thrush washer. They'll stay at the bottom. This actually looks really good, but on my needle bearing I am missing a couple, so I will be sure to either look for them. Alright, there's one right there. See if I can find these. If I can't, then I'm gonna have to get basically, honestly, just get a whole new needle bearing. Hopefully Midwest carries these. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, so it's cool. That race stayed, but this race did not stay, and those holes right there have to line up. Yeah. So yeah, that is tearing down the output shaft on a 5-speed getrag.